Greetings, and welcome to compliance training for Tyler Junior College. Today's topic, cybersecurity, data breaches, and identity theft.
Would you be comfortable living in a house that someone else had the key to? What if an underground tunnel led into it from a public park, where its windows could never quite close all the way? Would you trust it with your safety and your privacy? The internet is that house. This is not to say never go into the house, but rather you should know the hazards before you store all of your valuables there, and do what you can to protect them. So why is it insecure, and why can't we just fortify it until it's safe? Well, first of all, the internet was not originally built to be what it is today. It's like someone decided to expand a shoebox into a skyscraper. The internet originally developed when computers were huge and so expensive to own that only universities, big businesses, and a few governments had them. The point, originally, was to let these massive supercomputers talk to each other. And as soon as two computers could send information back and forth, we had a network. The network gradually grew until personal computers emerged in the 1980s, and then it exploded. Soon, people were not just talking to each other, but also exchanging money, playing games, reading news, shopping, and doing everything we associate with the internet today. Other devices started talking to the network too. Phones and cars and refrigerators and elevators and power plants and much, much more. But the ease of all those devices talking to each other came at a price: security. One computer could send another instructions to delete everything on it or take it over. We call these viruses and malware. Or one person could steal another's identity by guessing, cracking, or extracting a password. Vulnerabilities such as these will never completely go away because they're built into the internet's very architecture. Criminals use them to steal billions of dollars, governments use them for surveillance, and hacktivists use them to further their political goals. Between 2004 and 2013, over 1 billion records of personal information were stolen or leaked through data breaches of major organizations. As a thought experiment, let's imagine what a perfectly secure internet might look like. Users would not be allowed to download or install anything onto their computers. All internet traffic meant massively limiting the number of websites you could visit. In order to log on to a website, you'd have to type in a 100-character password, submit a genetic sample, and whistle a tune. The servers that hold data would be kept in heavily armed fortresses on the moon. And even with all these safeguards in place, some clever hacker would almost certainly still find a way in. The good news is, even with our flawed internet, there are simple things you can do to protect yourself, and there are a lot of people committed to making the internet more secure. The house that is the internet may be built on a shaky foundation, but it's been a home to innovation and an unprecedented free exchange of ideas. It's up to us to make it livable in spite of its flaws.
This training is designed to help employees take direct responsibility for the safety and security of personal and college information. The Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act requires financial institutions to take steps to ensure the privacy, security, and confidentiality of customer records. Under the regulations, colleges and universities are deemed to be in compliance with the privacy provision of the GLB Act if they are in compliance with the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, or FERPA. Training required of employees includes the Safeguards Rule, the Disposal Rule, and the Red Flags Rule, which also includes identity theft. Higher education institutions are subject to the Safeguards Rule of the GLB Act related to the administrative, technical, and physical safeguarding of customer information and requiring institutions to develop and maintain a security plan to protect the confidentiality and integrity of personal information. Steps to maintain the security, confidentiality, and integrity of information include locking rooms and file cabinets where records are kept, logging out of computers where information may be accessed, not sharing or openly posting employee or student passwords or IDs such as A numbers in work areas, reporting suspicious attempts to obtain information to designated personnel. Disposing of information in a secure way and consistent with the FTC's disposal rule includes shredding papers containing customer information so that the information cannot be read or reconstructed, destroying or erasing data when disposing of computers, disks, CDs, magnetic tapes, hard drives, laptops, PDAs, cell phones, or any other electronic media or hardware containing protected information. The Red Flags Rule requires organizations to implement an identity theft prevention program designed to detect the warning signs or red flags of identity theft in their day-to-day operations. The Federal Trade Commission offers tips on how to deter, detect, and defend against identity theft. What is identity theft? It occurs when someone steals your personal information, such as your credit card or social security number, and then uses it fraudulently. Identity theft can cost you time and money, and it can destroy your credit and ruin your good name. How does identity theft happen? Well, identity thieves may go through your trash or dumpster dive. They may steal your wallet or purse. They may steal your mail or submit a change of address form for your mail. They may use phishing or fake emails to get you to provide personal information, and they may steal personnel records from their employers. So what can you do? First, deter identity thieves by safeguarding your information. Detect suspicious activity by routinely monitoring your financial accounts and billing statements. And defend against identity theft as soon as you suspect a problem.
Somebody took it away from me in the blink of an eye. In less than a month, this woman destroyed what I had worked for 15 years.
I mean, your credit score is basically all you have.
I was mugged. They got my information.
It can really negatively affect your life.
Then they went off with the information and basically became me.
I feel it's a loss of control that someone's out there pretending to be you and doing things in your name that can come back to haunt you.
Somebody was using my name and all my personal data. They'd done it all.
I just didn't even know where to start.
They had a long record. It's a terrible feeling.
Identity theft. It happens when your personal information is stolen and used without your knowledge. It's a serious crime that can cost you time and money, ruin your credit, and destroy your good name.
When I was a victim of identity theft, my mail had been stolen.
I was shopping at a grocery store and someone took my wallet.
I think I made a purchase and they stole all my debit card information.
My briefcase had been tampered with, and when I looked in it, I saw that my passport and my driver's license, which I had in there, had been taken.
Identity theft happens when someone takes information about you and then uses it to commit fraud.
Identity theft is very serious.
We know that identity fraud in its various forms has affected 10 million people in any given year. And what that means in dollars is that it's lost to businesses of about $50 billion. On top of that, victims of identity theft have spent $5 billion trying to undo this harm. Everyone needs to be conscious that identity theft is real.
When you get news that your identity has been potentially stolen, it's sort of this open-ended problem that has occurred, and you don't know what's going to come of it.
No one's immune, which isn't to say that we're powerless. There's a lot we can do to deter, detect, and defend ourselves. My identity was stolen when I was mugged. It is pretty traumatic, especially how it happened to me. They got my information and it happened. Then they went off with the information and basically became me when they went to charging items in stores.
Identity thieves can only take advantage of you if you give them information or if they obtain information about you. So what you want to do is take steps to make it less likely that your information falls into the wrong hands. There are many ways that you can do that. And the first is to stop and look in your wallet. What are you carrying around? And if you lose your wallet, are you giving somebody else an opportunity to commit identity theft? So avoid carrying around any identification that has your social security number on it in your wallet, because that can be used very easily and efficiently by identity thieves.
They could have your name, they could have your birth date, but if they don't have your social security number, they're not going to get very far. But all they really need is a social security number, and they can misspell your name and still get credit.
The only place that social security card number should be is in your head and protected somewhere at home where you keep your other valuables.
And if someone asks you to provide a social security number, ask them why they need it, how they're going to keep it, how they're going to safeguard it, because you don't want that number to fall into the wrong hands.
I had an incident that I thought was a valid reason to give out information until they asked for my social security number. I went as far as the first 3 digits. I thought, gee, they don't need that. Then I hung up.
This is a crime. You have to think when you're at home, protect your identity. Don't leave around your personal documents, your date of birth. Somebody could come into your home and have immediate access to that information.
You also have to be careful about your trash. Now, a lot of people routinely receive things in the mail, maybe bank statements, credit card statements, or health insurance forms, and if they don't need them, they just throw them away in the trash. They shouldn't do that. Everyone should invest in a shredder. So before they dispose of these critical documents, you shred them. Identity thieves, don't worry about getting their hands dirty. They will go through your trash to retrieve these documents. They go where the information is. They'll steal your mail, they will steal your trash, they'll steal your wallet, and that's how they get information about you.
Deter identity theft. Protect your social security number. Shred financial documents and paperwork with any personal information before you throw them out. Never give out personal information on the phone or internet unless you know who you are dealing with.
My name is Nicole M. Robinson. The woman who stole my identity, her name is Nicole A. Robinson. She stole my information from the pharmaceutical company that she works for. After this happened, it devastated my financial life. I ordered my credit reports, and I received a credit report in the mail that was 54 pages long. It had over 170 accounts. 140 of them were in collections. It had 42 different names and 65 different addresses on it. Not only was somebody else reaping the benefits of my good credit, I could no longer have access to my own good credit. And I cried. I cried every day for 3 months.
On top of the financial and the time that people spend in resolving these issues, it's an emotional burden on victims.
My life before the identity theft case was wonderful. In less than a month, this woman destroyed what I had worked for 15 years. She got my life.
If an identity thief uses, for example, your social security number and applies for new credit in your name as opposed to raiding an existing account, there may be no way for you to know about it unless you've checked your credit report and you see that a new account that you didn't even know about has been opened in your name. That's why it's very important to monitor your credit report regularly.
Detect identity theft. Check your credit report at annualcreditreport.com. Federal law gives you the right to a free credit report every year from the 3 national consumer reporting companies. Review your financial accounts regularly. Look for charges you did not make.
When someone realizes that they're a victim of identity theft, it's like getting a kick in the gut. You know, you feel paralyzed for a moment, but it's really essential for victims to move quickly and deliberately in starting to resolve the problems that arise from identity theft.
I did what everybody knows to do, and that's call your credit card companies and cancel your credit cards. However, that's not enough. There was one major bit of information I did not have, and that was to call the 3 major credit bureaus. And I did not do that. And what happened was this person then went back. She was able to reopen the credit cards that I canceled. She was also able to open new credit cards in my name.
If you find you've become a victim of identity theft, the first thing you need to do is contact one of the 3 major credit reporting agencies and have them put a fraud alert on your file.
You got to take it seriously. You even suspect it, you got to put fraud alerts on. You got to take the steps to protect yourself. And you got to inform yourself about what to do so that when it does happen to you, you can do it quickly because time is critical.
You next want to contact each of the creditors or or other institutions where your information has been misused, then you follow up in writing and dispute these accounts and get a letter from them resolving these disputed fraudulent accounts.
The FTC has an affidavit, which in my case I used to write out your explanation of what happened that you can then use to submit to creditors trying to collect on fraudulent accounts. When you're trying to tell them, look, my identity was stolen, it helps prove it to them.
You next want to contact your local police department, report the crime, and get a copy of the police report.
You should contact the police immediately, because otherwise you have no proof that there was a crime.
It's very important that you report it to the police, because there are certain agencies that you need or we recommend that you contact, and they're probably going to refer you back to the police department to see if you have a police report or not.
And finally, you need to contact the Federal Trade Commission online at ftc.gov/ID theft or call us toll-free at 877-ID-THEFT to report this to us.
Defend against identity theft. Call the 3 credit reporting companies and place a fraud alert on your credit report. Then ask for the free credit report you're entitled to. Close any accounts that you suspect have been tampered with or opened fraudulently. Start by calling the security or fraud department of each company. Follow up in writing and include copies of supporting documents. File a police report. Contact the FTC. Your information also helps law enforcement officials across the country to track down and stop ID thieves.
Let's treat our personal information as we would our cash. Let's safeguard it, whether we're at home, whether it's in our purse or our wallet, or at our office.
Your personal information is cash, and in the wrong hands, it can destroy your life.
The FTC plays a central role in helping victims avoid and recover from identity theft. So we have developed substantial consumer education material that's available on our website at ftc.gov/ID theft.
Identity theft is serious, but even if your identity has been stolen and there has been, fraudulent accounts open in your name, you can defend yourself and get those resolved in your favor.
There are times when you just do not want to finish and you just want to say, forget it, I can't do this anymore. But you have to find that way inside of you to just keep going, because this is something that if you don't clear, it definitely affects the rest of your life.
What I want is for us to create a culture of security for our personal information so that this crime in the future will be diminished greatly.
Deter identity thieves by safeguarding your information. Shred financial documents before discarding them. Protect your Social Security number. Don't give out personal information unless you're sure who you're dealing with. Don't use obvious passwords, and keep your information secure. Detect suspicious activity by routinely monitoring your financial accounts and billing statements. Be alert. Mail or bills that don't arrive. Denials of credit for no reason. Inspect your credit report. The law entitles you to 1 free report a year from each nationwide credit reporting agency if you ask for it. You can request your reports online, www.annualcreditreport.com. Be sure to inspect your financial statements and look for charges you didn't make. Defend against identity theft as soon as you suspect a problem. Place a fraud alert on your credit reports by calling any one of the 3 nationwide credit reporting companies, Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion. Review your reports carefully, looking for fraudulent activity. Close accounts that have been tampered with or opened fraudulently. File a police report and contact the Federal Trade Commission.
You've probably heard that you need to be careful about what you post online. Well, here's a story that'll explain why. Once upon a time, a nice fellow named Tim uploaded a picture of himself to his favorite social network. It wasn't a bad picture, maybe a little goofy, but innocent enough. Little did Tim know that this photo would be his downfall. When Tim uploaded his photo to the internet, it was stored in a few places. One of these was the server of Tim's favorite social network, which allowed all his friends to see it. Another was a government server that picked up lots of information from the internet in case it could be useful down the line. And the third was the server of an identity theft crime ring. Back on the social network, a few of Tim's friends gave their approval to his picture, but most ignored it. Meanwhile, the social network made his data available to an advertising firm. They noticed the Frisbee in Tim's photo and started sending him Frisbee ads, hoping that he'd buy more Frisbees. Unfortunately, he would not be able to because of what happened next. You see, the identity theft crime ring liked Tim's photo much more than his friends did. That's because it showed his house in the background. One of the pieces of data in the image file was the exact location where the photo was taken, allowing them to figure out Tim's address. Now, this crime ring had already collected some other information about Tim that he had unwittingly posted online, including his phone number and social security number. So they called Tim's bank, pretended to be him, and tricked the bank into resetting his password using all of the information they had. Needless to say, they transferred all of Tim's money into their own pockets. They also gained access to his email accounts and sent his friends malware that stole their bank account information. To console himself over the loss of his friends, Tim took a vacation halfway across the world, and by strange coincidence chose the very same country that had intercepted his photo. Unfortunately for poor Tim, the nifty design in his shorts was also the flag of a rebel army trying to overthrow that country's government, and he was identified as a possible threat. So he was pulled aside at security and denied entry. Tim's story is pretty much a worst-case scenario, not what's going to happen the next time you post a picture online. But each of these things does happen to people on a daily basis, except for maybe the rebel army bit. Information that you post publicly can be stored by anyone who finds it, and your private communications might be intercepted and read by advertisers, news outlets, governments, and criminals alike. In fact, over 10 million Americans have their identities stolen each year. So try to be careful about what information you post online. Keep all of your software up to date, and make secure passwords that are different for each site you visit. These problems will probably never go away unless we invent a completely secure way of communicating and sharing with each other online. Sorry, Tim.
You can learn more about identity theft and ways to avoid it online at ftc.gov/ID theft, by phone at 1-877-ID-THEFT, or by mail at the Identity Theft Clearinghouse, Federal Trade Commission, 600 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C., 20580. You have now completed cybersecurity training, data breaches, and identity theft. To receive credit for this training, you must complete the quiz with a score of 70% or higher. If you have other questions or need more information about data breaches or identity theft, contact Carl Schatz, Director of Information Security at Tyler Junior College, csho@tjc.edu. Thank you.